everybody. Welcome into Scores, Goals, and Touchdowns with Mr. Pat. Spooky Derek back with us again.
Okay.
Yes, his costume vest last week was terrifying.
Yeah.
Back from a long hiatus, we have my brother Tom back with us again. I said that already. Okay, we're just going to jump into some things I'd like to mention before we get into the show. Congratulations go out to the UT ladies soccer team. They won the MAC. Today they won against Western Michigan. Their senior and MAC player of the year scored the only goal in a 1-0 game. Western Michigan actually had won 7 straight with 7 shutouts, so this game had to end 1-0.
Right.
But so congratulations go out. The other thing I want to talk about, one of my favorite boxers of all time, Smokin Joe Frazier, was diagnosed with liver cancer at the age of 66. He is in hospice care right now, and doctors said he doesn't have that much time left. Really an interesting story, the way he was brought up, how he got into fighting, and his fights with Muhammad Ali were legendary. They had the fight of the century, which he won, plus 2 other fights, including the Thrilla in Manila, which Muhammad Ali has said is the closest he's ever felt to dying. And it's a shame because boxing was huge back then, and it does make me sad to see what boxing, the state of it's in now.
What do you mean, the heavyweight division?
Yeah.
The rest of boxing is pretty still decent.
Yeah.
The
Well, you
heavyweight
got
division.
Floyd Mayweather.
Right, but the heavyweight division is...
And that's unfortunate for boxing because boxing has always lived and died on the heavyweight division, and if there's nobody exciting, unfortunately, the better boxing usually is in the lighter classes, but unfortunately, there's nobody really to carry the banner for boxing right now.
I knew it was doomed when Lennox Lewis was winning a whole bunch of titles. Oh, God.
It's kind of hard to segue from boxing and something like that into this, but I guess we got to start off. College football, the first game, we had UT versus Northern Illinois. That was a night game in the midweek. I mean, defense just didn't show up. It's like they just sat the sidelines and let the offense run up and down the field. You were at that game. Tell us the atmosphere surrounding that crazy game.
Well, one, we'll be honest, the fans didn't really show up.
Yeah, it was. I saw that on TV.
It was pretty pathetic. But you knew. I even told my color commentator this game was going to be a shootout. The first kickoff, Tommy Lee Davis, 8 balls of fire, takes it 100 yards, actually 100 plus yards, but only in college you only do 100. They don't act like the NFL.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Once if you're in the end zone, they don't count that. And then they go a 3 and out, and they kick another, or actually no, UT came back and scored, I believe, and then they kick it, and then he scores again on 95 yards, and they were only average 17 yards on kickoffs. So we knew that was going to happen, and then, as you know, basketball on grass broke out, and NIU scored 63 points, UT scored 60, which I'm kind of happy with, because last year NIU did score 60 points, they only scored 30, but this was for the MAC championship, for them to control their own destiny, and they blew it.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing what Eric Page can do next. I hope he stays for another year because he's exciting to watch.
He had 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, 5 touchdowns.
Tied Randy Moss's record for most touchdowns in a game for a MAC game.
Why does that not surprise me? It was Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Now there was some controversy at the end of the game. Tim Beckman elected to put the game into his defense's hands. Now hindsight's 20/20, but even I was second guessing him, and that's not something I do because I mean he knows a lot more about football than I do. He's coaching a D1 program. I'm hosting this show here.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a little interesting not to call timeouts, put the game all on the defense. But the way the offense has been running up and down the field, what was it like in there?
Well, to be honest with you, the whole media, I love Tim Beckman. I think he's a hell of a coach. He brought the program back.
Oh, yeah.
But you got to understand, though, look at him in the big games. This game he lost. The Pizza Bowl he lost. Last year NIU he lost. And also you got to remember UT was on a roll with Danton, and they brought in T.O., and that kind of stalled their drive, and that's how basically NIU kind of got more of the momentum. So it makes you wonder in the timeout debacle, is he really, I understand you want to be pig-headed and stick with the game plan, but, you got to call a timeout. I mean, even the defense said they were tired. I mean, Chandler Harnish pretty much put himself on the map as a pro player in that game.
Yeah.
It was on ESPN, but I don't know. I'm starting to wonder, can Beckman win the big one? I don't know what you guys think.
I just, and this takes me back to early 90s, mid-90s Ohio State games. I'm starting to think that too. Hate when you use 2 quarterbacks in the game.
Yeah.
Just have them share time. you ruin rhythm, you bring in a guy who's cold. I understand, like, you need to keep the defense guessing, but at the same time, like, you don't allow anyone to get into a rhythm, and that is a quarterback's best friend. If he can get into a rhythm and feel the groove, he can just sling it up and down the field like that the Northern Illinois quarterback did. He was in the whole time. He just torched him.
Well, he was their leading rusher. He was the leading passer, the leading rusher, and he had a lot of the read options and the quarterback keepers, and there was no spy on him. And why wasn't the middle linebackers pretty much just blasting him?
Yeah.
Dan Moles pretty much aimed for the tailback and missed him 4 straight times on that last possession they had. So I don't know. They keep saying we have mistakes, but this is your third year, and you've had these players for 2 years in a row. Why are there still mistakes?
Yeah.
And we don't understand that.
Yep.
And I agree. I think the biggest thing, I hate the 2 quarterback system. Like the old saying goes, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any.
Right.
I think you just stick with a guy and you play him. But that's why he's coaching.
Yeah.
It's his call. So we're going to move on past that. Michigan, Iowa. That was an exciting game. Michigan had it, a lot of chances. They had the ball 1st and 3 at Iowa's 1, was it? Mm-hmm. And with 19 seconds left, 4 straight passes, game over. A lot of controversy at the end there. It all comes down, they're doing a lot of things that they shouldn't be doing with Denard Robinson. I mean, you take a look at Ohio State, the way they're babying Braxton Miller. That's what you do for a quarterback that can run, that's just getting used to it. He threw 5 passes that game. They keep making Denard drop back and throw. That's not his game. I don't understand why they keep doing that to him. You look at him, Braxton Miller started off shaky, and then he's gotten better as the seasons went on. Denard Robinson's the exact opposite. He started off really well. I mean, he was playing some bad defenses, but still, he played some really good games. And then he's actually gotten worse as it's gone on. You are an Ohio State fan. I know you've had a lot of arguments with Angry Man. Do you think it's more of getting into Big Ten play teams actually hitting him, or is this a problem with the coaches?
And this is one of the things where I tend to agree with Angry Man. Denard Robinson is not a downfield passer.
No.
And I understand Brady Hoke coming in and wanting to get away from a just heavy run option offense, because you want to throw the ball. You want to be able to throw the ball. And if he is constantly like throwing the ball, you're not playing into his talents. You have a very explosive player, and you're not utilizing him to the best of his ability. It's like trying to dig a hole with a coal shovel. It might, get you where you need to be eventually, but use the right tool for the job. And if you want to use Denard, have him run. Have him run the option, have him run the zone read. He's not a passer. If you keep the ball within 10 yards, short passes, intermediate passes, he can be effective because he spreads the defense a little bit. But they just made some questionable calls, have him throwing it down the field because he just overshoots his receivers.
He doesn't have receivers, let's face it. He threw it to Roundtree, and the dude didn't even catch the ball. He can't make plays. And I seen that last year, too. If you watch some of the replays from last year, it was pretty much all Denard because he doesn't have any receivers. And he's trying to put him in this pro-style offense, and his arm is not the big great either.
No.
But then you also top that with guys that they can't make plays. They can't really get open. It's a disaster, and he's a Heisman Trophy candidate at the beginning of the year. He had that hell of a game against Notre Dame, and then you
fourth quarter.
Yeah, fourth quarter. Then you go and do this crap, and it's November, and I told you they're going to collapse.
Yeah.
And I think Ohio State's going to get another win because they're going to collapse in November.
I don't even know if it's so much as a collapse. I think the way their schedule has played out the last few years, they try to get, well, I don't know if they try because these schedules are made so many years in advance, but it worked out that they had an easier schedule in the very beginning, and when they got to Big Ten play, they had some defenses, and they were able to put some hits on guys.
Right.
And if you know some guy's coming over the middle headhunting you, you're going to be a little more careful going up for the ball. It's a combination of things, yes, but you play a defense that's a little more aware. You're not going to get these cute little plays working all the time like that.
And to that point, they've had their first they've had 8 home games this year. Only 4, 8 home games and 4 away. So that really works in their favor too. We got to move on past Michigan. We'll talk about Ohio State. They played Indiana, a team has one win, winless in the Big Ten. But really, when Ohio State had their championship run, they had a lot of games that they should have lost to inferior opponents. But all you can do, you just look at the scoreboard, they ended up winning. Ohio State has been, ever since Nebraska, they've been winning games. I think they're tied now in the leaders division. They have a shot to be playing for the Big Ten championship despite how poorly they started.
They just have to win out. They went out and they're in.
The defense looked a little shaky. Offense, they need to really stick with Carlos Hyde and not Jordan Hall, I believe. I mean, they had 3 running backs with over 100 yards. That's impressive.
Oh, yeah.
If Braxton Miller and those receivers can get it together, watch out for Ohio State. I mean, I think Fickell should come back. I mean, look what he's done. The controversy, the team looked god-awful in the beginning of the year, and they've come back. They need to fire Bowman, though. Get rid of him and get some
everybody on the defensive side of the ball, or on the offensive side of the ball. I agree with you. Just get rid of everyone.
Yeah, just get rid of them. It's terrible.
But I'd have to say, like, as far as Ohio, as I'm watching Braxton Miller play, when you're supposedly playing these inferior opponents, I was hoping Fickell would let him throw the ball. I mean, yeah, the kid's going to make mistakes, but I'd like him to make his mistakes this year while the season's not. I mean, yeah, you can still win a Big Ten championship, but this kid's your future, and I think if the more time you give him out there to throw the ball, and granted, Fickell did give him a lot of chances to throw the ball, but Braxton decided to use his legs a lot more, which Troy Smith did his first couple years. So as long as he starts throwing the ball against some of these lesser opponents, I'll be really excited. And I reserve judgment on Fickell until the end of the season. I'll wait to see the
Watch out for Indiana. They're coming with the new. I forget who the new coach is, but in a couple of years they're going to probably be contending for a Big Ten title. But
Roberson looked pretty good.
Yeah, but what if Ohio State doesn't win the Big Ten title? What does that say about the Big Ten?
It's bad.
It's still got a long way to go.
Still, though, that's pathetic.
And there are a lot of young teams. I'll tell you who's fun to watch is Northwestern.
Yes.
Northwestern is a fun. They just bring in these gutsy quarterbacks that just make plays.
And beat Nebraska.
Yeah. It was a shame to see Persa hurt again. I love watching him play.
All right, we got about a minute and a half left in the show. Just point out Notre Dame beat Wake Forest. It's two in a row. They have a chance. They've only lost 3 games. They'll beat Stanford. They have a chance to make it, I guess, a decent year after how it started. But we got to move on to the NFL. I got about a minute left. Give me your best team for this week.
49ers. I mean, 7-1. I didn't expect this really. I thought by the 8th, I thought they'd be 4-4 at least. Or maybe 3-5. But 7-1. I mean, Harbaugh's come in there and has totally made that team a 180.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to go with the New York Giants. They, a lot of analysts have been questioning how good this team is, and what did they? They came out. Their defense shut down the Patriots. They scored 20 points the whole game. After everybody questioning whether the Giants are in it for the long haul, they made a big point by beating the Patriots today.
Yeah. And I'd like to, my team, I'm going to go with Miami. They won 31-3 over Kansas City. It's Kansas City, but still, it's Miami's first win. They are not going to suffer the Lions' fate. Indianapolis still in the dark about that one.
They helped the coach for Kansas City, though. He's going to shave now.
Yeah. Well, sorry. We're going to take a quick break and come back and do Pat's piece. See you in a bit. After LeBron James's Look at Me Fest, where he took his talents to South Beach, I was in the market for a new favorite basketball player, which he held once Reggie Miller retired. I picked Kevin Durant because he's always been fun to watch, and the Durantula is the coolest nickname in sports. Now that he's got some free time from the lockout, he took to Twitter where he got an invite to play flag football at Oklahoma State, and he actually showed. Imagine that for a second. You are gearing up to play football, and you look up 6 feet 9 inches to see that you are lined up against the 2-time NBA scoring champ and superstar Kevin Durant. You can't say that's not one of the coolest things you've ever heard. Normally I rag on Twitter and I despise seeing hashtags on Facebook, but in this case, everything about this story is awesome. Him showing up and playing is going to give every single person there a story they can tell for the rest of their lives. Now, especially the ones that collected 3 of his interceptions. Thank you for watching Scores, Goals, and Touchdowns with Mr. Pat. See you next time.